certainly the government is fully aware of the need to solve for this, and I think the challenge with the new class of advisor is how do we deal with what I think everybody in this room wants to do, which is get more advice to fill this gap for the majority of Australians, and how do we achieve that soon, and not tie this up as the be-all, end-all solution to fix every problem. And so what I mean by that is, we come at it as life insurers to say, we would like to be able to employ or use these new class of advisors so that we can provide what we call personal advice. So not comprehensive advice, not simple advice, but personal to that person. That means that we can give really good customer service, basically. At the moment,
who's we?
The insurers.
Okay.
So each individual insurer at the moment, they have customers ring them, and very quickly into the phone calls, and I listen to them, it gets to the point where they say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I can refer you often to this this advisor, and it's another kind of step, right, for the customer. And so each way along the way, you lose people in that customer experience, because the harder it becomes to just get the answer to the question of, my kids have moved out of home now, should I reduce my cover? Well, I've got to ask you a lot of questions, right, to make sure it's the right thing for you to do to decrease your cover. If that then is, okay, well now I'm going to email someone, I'll send you an email and they'll call you back in 2 weeks' time, that person might go, I've missed my window, I'm not interested in dealing with that problem anymore, right? So these are all the life administrative things that customers, they see it as this is an administrative burden. I've got the idea, I want to solve it today. If I don't solve it today, I've moved on. And so life insurers would like to have the new class of advisor to be able to provide that as a free service to their customers. But we are very supportive as an industry of being able to grow the advice community, and we'd like to be able to see how it could be done. So I know our colleagues at FAAA and the FSC have views around being able to use the new class of advisor in this sort of, how do you become, starter role in the industry for young advisors. And we certainly aren't opposed to that at all, but we're just very laser focused on what we would like to achieve for insurers.
Okay, so and I will come to the deliverables in a second, but just clarify before I come to you, perhaps Peter and Ben, we're talking about circumstances where it's the policyholder of the insurer that calls up and they don't have an allocated advisor.
Yes, or it might be that they do, but if they're ringing their insurer to say, want to have a conversation where it's like, I know I have this product, I've seen this, I would like this, or often it is things like reducing cover. My kids have moved out of home. How do I reduce my cover? I just called my general insurer and I've changed this. I expect the same from you. Those are the conversations that we think rightly could be done directly with the insurer. And that's not about cutting advisors out. That's about having good customer service. But as soon as anything would move into the territory of more comprehensive advice, rightly, those partnerships are there between insurers and advisors.
So presumably in the process, under those circumstances, that would include alerting the advisor that the client has contacted the insurer directly?
Yeah, I think in practice I would accept that would be what would happen.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Keely, with Pina and Ben. Originally, the idea was to have a new class of advisor to be resident, to reside with the insurer, the superannuation fund, but it's become broader than that. That's why we're getting to you in a minute. But from your perspective, Pina, how do you see the potential for the new class of advisor to be one solution for delivering more financial advice and more life insurance advice?
Yeah. Look, I definitely think that there's a role for the new class of advisor within an insurer, within a group fund, for those circumstances whereby it's something that's extremely simple and not necessarily a new customer. It could just be something with an enforced customer or an orphan customer, for example, particularly an orphan customer. Or it could be an arrangement with a particular advisor group where they say, we're happy for you to deal with this group of customers. So I think there is a role to play. I think also if it's easy for insurers to be able to breed a new class of advisor, then that potentially will feed the industry, and I think that's a great thing. Once upon a time, the banks were breeding financial planners, so it'd be great to see insurers and group funds potentially play that role to help out. I also think though that right from the start, really, licensees should be able to also bring a new class of advisor. But I think the potential barrier there is the fact that potentially that you're not paid, or you can't sort of receive commission out of a product that is sold through a new class of advisor. And I think that potentially that could prohibit licensees, because how do they fund a new class of advisor if there's no revenue?
Well, let's ask them.
So I think that's something that needs to be solved, because I think really, I think just as an insurer can use a new class of advisor, I think a licensee can as well.
So we turn to MBS Insurance first, Drew. With your business model, advisors are remunerated via salary rather than by commissions. So would a new class of advisor sit well as another opportunity, as another benefit that you can offer your own clients?
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, I think a new class advisor is an entry point for talent and new clients to the market. Absolutely. I think I agree with what Penham was saying, that if a licensee is constrained by that remuneration experience, then it doesn't feel very encouraging. Like, it doesn't feel very sincere as an industry saying that we need to bring new talent, we need to bring new professional year advisors, we need to support the greater insurance landscape in Australia, but we're going to put these restrictions on you as licensees. It just doesn't really feel aligned to me. But holistically, I think that a new class of advisor, something needs to change, right? We need new people coming through, lots more Australians accessing advice, absolutely. So I just think it feels not 100% aligned if licensees are sort of, okay, it's not the same experience over there.
Okay, but when the legislation lands, all other things being equal, you're up to embrace that new staff member within the MBS business.
I mean, we would contemplate it at the time, of course, right? But it sort of goes back to we as an industry encouraging firms and licensees, how are we supporting advice practices with their PYs? Do we have sort of these apprenticeship programs, or do we have sort of some sort of government encouragement to sort of drive this growth and support the need? So I would like to see a bit more holistic view around how we can better support all the stakeholders to solve the insurance need.
And I think everyone wants to see how the language of the legislation is going to land. So
absolutely. I mean, we've explored, and I know we'll go there, but we've explored general advice, but there's different elements that we don't like about it with respect to the red tape and some sort of the implied or inferred advice that might happen by people not answering questions specifically. So we would have to consider what that landscape is.
And we'll come to general advice in a minute, but before we do, Niall, what's your take? Bombora as an organisation has got a range of different remuneration processes for your advisors.
I think we'll have to wait till we see the legislation, but I think if we were to bring them in and they were paid salary, they were salaried and they didn't receive any commission at all, right? So we just committed to pay them whatever it might be, then I don't see necessarily that it might be a problem. I don't know what other people think, but at the end of the day, if they're salaried and there's no commission paid to them.
What about paid to Bombora?
Yeah, how do you make money out of it to Bombora?
Yeah.
What is it? There's no commission paid to Bombora.
But if there was commission paid to Bombora, but it didn't, the people who gave the advice weren't impacted didn't in any way, then I don't know whether that's prohibitive or not.
We'll find out, but generally,
But I just the point about absolutely 100% something big has to change in the industry in regards to whether it's a new class of advisor or whatever it might be. Because we can talk here for a very long time. The reality is there is nowhere near enough advisors speaking to clients, and there's less and less of them. So the problem's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Understood, but the cost to Bombora of recruiting the new class of advisor would presumably be offset by greater productivity, allowing your financial advisors, your client-facing financial advisors, more time in their week, in their day, to have more advice conversations.
Yeah, like our advisors today are not speaking to anywhere near the amount of people that they should. Like our average first year premium is 10 grand. So if you think about that, and I was speaking to someone the other day who was saying that the business that they've received in the last 5 years, roughly, the average income that they've received, clients that have come into a life office, the average income of those clients has been 190 grand. So they're the people that are getting the advice today, no one else. So this is why we need to really work out a way to get in front of the vast majority of people who are not getting any advice. And Tina's point about replacing the banks and the training and all that, that's 100% has to happen.
Okay.
And we need to find ways to do that.
All right, so turning to the advisors in the room with regard to the prospect of a new class of advisor and effectively a new class of advice being allowable in the industry, whether that person is retained by an insurer or super fund or a licensee. What about the credibility of fully qualified financial advisors and the dangers expressed by some of your colleagues with regard to where's the line drawn between delivering limited advice? Where do you draw the line beyond which you must refer that inquiry to a fully qualified financial advisor? Do you have any concerns with the new class of advisor?
I think that there is rightly some concern around the phrasing or the wording of it, the use of the word advisor. There's already too many acronyms in this profession. I don't think we need to introduce a new one as a way to skirt around that. As an advice practice, we don't see right now that there would be a world in the foreseeable future where we would have a new class advisor in our practice. The PY or graduate young advisor definitely fills that role in terms of additional labour, but simultaneously absolutely see the need for them to come in. I think, Keely, to your point around the life admin that people are seeking and the need, because at the end of the day, there's a consumer at the end of this policy or this question. And recently I was reading the court case transcripts from ASIC versus Westpac Federal Court High Court, really good reading, by the way. And it's the questions that these policy holders or superannuation members had, they were pretty simple. And whilst there was sales commissions and all kinds of issues, and it definitely went over the line of personal advice, the consumer was thinking it was a simple request. And making sure that in amongst all of this red tape, we're not losing that ability to serve the person who is trying to get their insurance increase, decrease, change, whatever it might be. As I said, as a business, so for it, because at the moment people are just not taking that action, and even imperfect action would be better than where we stand right now.
Okay, so you reported that if it's done in the right way, presumably.
And look, I'm not here to say it's going to be right. Of course, we have no evidence to say it's going to be right straight away. When has that ever happened? But it is better. Why can't we use the same principles? Are we putting them in a better position? Yes, we will be putting them in a better position by giving more people some better access, and then we will improve it.
Okay, turning to you, thank you, Rebecca. Turning to you, Phil, you've built a great volume business which would require serving and maintaining a lot of clients. Would a new class of advisor type member of staff be of value for you? Would that pay for itself by allowing your advisors less non-income producing time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. There's a few things that I think about. I've always been supportive of insurers selling their own products. Kind of think it's crazy that Commonwealth Bank can sell their own mortgages, but AIA struggle to sell their own products directly. I've always thought that's a crazy kind of way in which we live when it comes to insurance. So I've always supported that, and being able to manage, it's a really bad client experience because the clients, as Keely was talking about, the clients just assume the insurance company is wanting to keep the policy and not reduce it at all, and manipulating the policyholder to maintain it when we're all just in this ridiculous red tape that we live in. I guess my biggest concern is that, we talked about red tape being a big concern currently. I don't want a new class of advisor to be like, all right, great, let's leave the financial advisors, current as it is, because now we've got this new class of advisor where we can, help superannuation members, transact or insurance policyholders transact, because the current framework needs adjustments as well. So that's kind of my biggest concern is government will go back, tick, we've done that, we've fixed advice, and then we've got this unlevel playing field where advisors are still caught up in a whole bunch of mess but a new class of advisor can write a new policy.
Okay, so it can be part of the solution.
Definitely, and it should be. I'm supportive of it. Even if we can't use it, but insurers can use it direct, I'm actually super supportive of that.
But Ben, do you have a final comment or take on new class of advisor?
Yeah, look, I think all I would say is that there's a cohort of clients that are self-directed and are seeking simple transactional advice, which is the undercurrent to what I'm hearing here today. And to be able to, it's not a land grab per se, and taking a particular client from a high profile practice. So I certainly think there's an appetite, at least from my perspective, for that void to be filled, particularly by the insurers.